Hi everyone, I'm Dave Giancola, joined again by Mike Trossel as we celebrate another decade of U.S. Opens. We're going all the way back to the 1930s. Now, the great Bob Jones actually retired from competitive golf in 1930, but not before he rang in the decade with his fourth U.S. Open victory during his Grand Slam season.
Yeah, and Dave, the following year, Billy Burke won the longest U.S. Open in history, playing 144 holes at Inverness, which included two 36-hole playoffs. In 1933, Johnny Goodman joined the likes of Jones in Francis Ouimet, becoming the fifth amateur to win the national championship, a feat no golfer has matched since.
It was quite a roster of champions. Big names like Gene Sarrazin, Byron Nelson, and Ralph Gouldall also won championships, Gouldall winning back-to-back titles in 37 and 38. So let's go back to the 1930s, starting with the great Bob Jones at Interlaken.
There's a big gallery falling of people out. Oh, hey, you guys. And I am now going to ask Mr. Robert T. Jones to come and accept this cup, representative of the Open Championship of the United States of America. Sure.
I do want to say just two things. One of them is that I consider myself exceedingly lucky to have won this championship. And the second one is that I want to thank you all for the very considerate way in which you've all behaved this week. I've never played in a place where the galleries were so kind to the player and so anxious to get out of the way. You know how hard it is for you, and we know how hard it is for us. I want to thank you very much.
National Open Championship. George Van Elm tees off, needing one stroke to catch Burke. Billy Burke fighting all day to hold his precious lead. The last green, and Burke is almost sure to win by a single stroke. Van Elm has a 15-foot putt to make for a tie. He can't. He does. He makes it. A bitter deadlock, and now for the second day the battle's on again. Van Elm is one stroke behind on the last hole. Burke's chance to win. And he does. Burke is champion by one stroke.
I enjoyed staying here, and we had a fine game of golf, and I'm sorry it had to finish this way. Thank you very much.
The Fresh Meadow Country Club on Long Island was a grueling course. Sarrazin's strategy was to play cautiously. Sarrazin confided this to Bobby Jones, who disagreed with this strategy. A conservative game plan, Jones thought, did not play to Sarrazin's strength as an attacker. Still, Sarrazin played tentatively, and after 2 rounds, he found himself 5 strokes out of the lead. In the 3rd round, Sarrazin stubbornly stuck to his tactics of caution and fell even further behind. But by the 9th hole of the 3rd round, he decided his only chance was to attack. It was time to go for broke. Bobby Jones saw this birdie putt from the veranda of the clubhouse. This may set Gene off, he declared to a friend. Let's go see what happens. What happened was a blistering 32 by Sarrazin on the second nine. His gallery grew larger as he fought his way to within one stroke of the lead. In the final round, he accelerated his charge. He birdied 3, 4, 6, and 9. Fresh Meadow rocked as Sarrazin surged into the lead. At 18, Sarrazin faced one more putt for a spectacular 66 and a long overdue second United States Open title. Amazingly, Sarrazin had played the last 28 holes of the Open in 100 strokes. His second Open title was far sweeter than the first. A champion of the past was a champion once more. Gene Sarrazin was back.
Johnny Goodman, 23-year-old amateur, drives. And the battle for golf supremacy is on. Walter Hagen tees off. A drive that proves the pros are going to make it a real fight. A gallery of 10,000 follow the play in the 37th United States Open, with young Goodman of Omaha making spectacular shots like this to take the lead. Sweezy tries a 30-foot putt. And sinks it! Approaching the last hole, Goodman Amateur and Gouldall Pro are fighting a stiff duel. Goodman finishes with 287 strokes for 72 holes, which is within a stroke of the 1916 record. Gouldall has a chance to tie Goodman and places a nice one onto the green, 4 feet from the hole. If he sinks it, he'll have an even chance for first place. But he misses. Too bad. And now meet Johnny Goodman, the winner.
Boy, am I happy.
It's the final round of the National Open at the Marion Club course. Olin Dutra and Gene Sarrazin are battling for the lead. With victory in his grasp, Gene runs into hard luck and begins to miss fairly easy ones like this. Even the great Bobby Jones, ex-golf king, is getting a thrill as word comes that the big California pro has reached the last green far ahead. With 2 strokes left to win, Dutra takes no chances. A nice, slow, easy putt up to the hole, and it's all over but the shouting. Brother Morty nearly smothers the victor, winner by 1 stroke as the crowd acclaims him. Just out of his sickbed, Dutra proved game to the last, and the cup goes to a real champion.
Olin, I give into your custody the Open Championship Cup, and I know you will uphold the best traditions of an Open champion.
Thank you, Mr. J.
The Open returned to Oakmont in 1935. Among the lesser-regarded entrants, a young Pittsburgh professional, Sam Parks. Among the favorites, powerful Jimmy Thompson, leader after 36 holes. The great Walter Hagen, still in the midst of the battle, 21 years after winning his first Open, only 3 shots behind the surprise leader Parks, a round to go. Another former Open champion, Gene Sarrazin, makes a strong bid to close in on Parks on the final 18. Sarrazin ultimately failed, and Hagen failed, and Thompson failed by 2 shots. The winner is Sam Parks, the only man in the field to break 300.
All my life I've had in mind trying to win this championship, and I've worked mighty hard to finally be able to do it, and I'm very happy to receive the cup and the championship. Thank you.
Baldwin's upper course in 1936. Tony Manero, a professional, began the 4th round 4 strokes behind. Harry Cooper finishes early with 284 to break what was then the Open scoring record by 2 strokes. But Manero, accompanied by a wild gallery, played brilliantly down the stretch. Gene Sarrazin tapped in. Then Manero holed for a total of 282 to beat Cooper and confound the world of golf. It's a wonder he survived. Tony Manero, Open champion in 1936.
Sam Snead had just come out of the West Virginia hills, and 25 years ago he was playing in the U.S. Open Championship for the first time at the Oakland Hills Country Club near Detroit. Sam was burning up the course. When Snead curled in his final putt, he looked like the winner of the first Open he'd ever played. But behind Snead came a golfer who had become so discouraged at times that he had almost quit the game. At last, Dame Fortune smiled on Ralph Guldahl. With a closing round that stunned Snead and the gallery, he set a new tournament record of 281 and topped the title. It was the first of many crushing disappointments for Snead in the Open Championship, as Guldahl winds up with a pot of gold and a happy better half.
Highlights of the National Open, the banner tournament of American golf. Henry Pickard teeing off. Sammy Snead laces out his drive off the number 1 tee. Chicago's Dick Metz back in competition after a year's layoff. Ralph Guldahl, defending champion, whose 281 total last year is a record for the championship. Henry Pickard, early pacemaker. He leads the field at the halfway mark. With 2 subpar rounds of 70, the Hershey, Pennsylvania pro is here a potential conqueror of Denver's rolling Cherry Hills course. And his gallery follows him with rapt attention. Guldahl, meanwhile, has had to be content in 5th place, but the pressure is not yet really on. With a 74 and a 70 for a 2-round total of 144, the defending champion is shown here lying within 5 feet of a par 4 on the 9th. But look, a bogey 5, and Ralph is a bit downcast about it all. But he's not alone. Here's the stream bordering the treacherous 17th, the Island Green, and the Waterloo of many. Jimmy Hines, current Metropolitan Open champ, essays a long putt on the 18th. Too bad, Jimmy. Ralph Guldahl, arriving at the 3/4 turn, the end of the 3rd round. His putter has regained its magic. He needs this for a par 71. While Dick Metz, among others, has long since begun to feel the terrific strain. As early leads vanish, strokes are piled up, and putts refuse to drop. Through the crowd, the word is spread like wildfire that Guldahl has clinched the National Open crown for the 2nd successive year. And there's the final putt that gives the champ a 6-stroke margin of victory with a 4-round total of 284 in possession of the handsome prize, plus the distinction of being the first man to repeat since the great Bobby Jones.
Well, in 1939, when I played in the Open in Philadelphia at the Spring Mill course of the Philadelphia Country Club, I did come to the last hole, and I had about, it was a par 5, and I had about an 8-footer to make for birdie. And I knew I needed to make that for 284. Fortunately, I did. I knocked it right in the hole for the birdie. Craig Wood and Dennis Shute and I tied, as you know, with 284. And we played off, and Craig and I both played very well in the playoff. We shot 68s. And Denny played poorly, but we had to play off another day. Craig Wood on the last hole, par 5, our first playoff, he hooked his second shot badly and hit a spectator in the head. And his ball was way to the left of the green. He played a pretty good recovery shot and then had about a 6 or 7 foot putt, something like that length. And if he made that putt, why, he would have been, for a birdie, he would have beaten me 1 shot. And he hit it and left it dead in, a half-inch short. So we gave him 68. He and I tied with 68 that playoff. And then the next day, for the second playoff, was when I hold the 1 iron for a 2 on the 4th hole. So I finished that round in 70, and he shot 73. It definitely was the tournament to win when I won in 39. And it has always, it still is the tournament to win, of course, but there are some other great tournaments now. But the Open, when you know that you have won the major tournament in the United States and it has been open to pros and amateurs, why, then you have feeling that you are the champion.